In 2017, Big Ramy pushed Heath harder than anyone had during Phil's 7-year Olympia reign. Many fans even argued Ramy should have won that year. On top of that, Ramy was on a steady rise since his 2013 Olympia debut, climbing the rankings every single year. So heading into 2018, the expectations were sky high. Most people believed Ramy was either going to win the Olympia or at least repeat as runner-up behind Heath. But when prejudging began in 2018, it was clear something was off. Ramy missed the mark, got pushed into the second call-out, and was never compared with the top 4 competitors. Then came the finals, and everything changed. Ramy walked out in what I consider his best shape ever. Better than his 2013 New York Pro debut. Better than his Olympia-winning physiques. This was the version everyone expected after 2017, and yet he stayed in the same second call-out, and ultimately finished 6th on both the prejudging and finals scorecards. In this video, I'm going to break down the finals top 3, Shawn, Rhoden, Heath, and Roelly Winklaar, and insert Big Ramy into the mix to show you what the judges didn't show us that night. Front double biceps, and there are a few things that jump to my eye here. First, Shawn looks so statuesque and he was indeed peeled to the bone here. Also, Phil's midsection stands out in a bad way. Also, Roelly looks unbelievable upstairs, but his legs don't match up to the rest of the guys. And speaking of legs, Ramy's are not fully flexed here, so let me edit his legs from the front lat spread to prove that to you. So allegedly, Ramy's problem was conditioning at this show, but as far as I'm concerned, he is at least as sharp as Phil in this pose and way drier than Roelly for that matter. Shawn is indeed on a different level when it comes to dryness, however he's giving up enough mass here against all the other 3 to make this pose hard to judge. It's true that my eyes keep getting drawn to Shawn, he looks so damn good, but he's the smallest with the worst set of arms here. Phil is out of the discussion here for obvious reasons, while Roelly probably looks the best upper body but has the worst legs and he's the least conditioned, so I believe that only leaves Big Ramy challenging Shawn. Between them two is apples versus oranges. Personally, I like mass monsters, so subjectively I would choose Ramy, but objectively speaking, Shawn Rhoden looks like he should be winning this pose, especially by today's standards that focus more on overall flow. Front lat spread is next, and your top 3 is fighting for second place here, because Big Ramy is running away with this pose. Right here, right now, he looks like the true Mr. Olympia, but of course, bodybuilding is not about only one pose. Your actual 2018 Mr. Olympia seems to be taking second place in this pose, while Phil and Roelly simply don't have the structure for the front lat spread. Now Phil is more conditioned and dominates Roelly downstairs, but even though Roelly doesn't have the most defined midsection in this pose either, Phil's distension and herniated belly button are simply too much of a distraction to take anything but last place in this lineup, in this pose of course. Side chest is next, and we have 3 of the best side legs in history here with Ramy, Shawn and Phil. Of course, once again for the lower body Roelly falls in last, however upper body he looks massive. He also has the advantage since he's the only one posing with his left side and the camera for these shots is facing him. While for the other 3 we cannot truly assess the width here. Still we can notice that upper body wise Shawn Rhoden is not as round as the other 3. Phil's gut is sticking out too much again, especially from this angle, otherwise he could have been in the mix to win this pose. Once again I believe Ramy and Shawn are your top 2, and once again Big Ramy looks like the clear winner. His lower body is just as defined as Shawn's, but he's also got more mass. Also upper body, even though this picture is not the best, Ramy would be too much for Shawn. So Big Ramy wins another pose in this comparison. Back double biceps, and Heath is finally showing why he is the legend he is, even here where he was not at his best. Phil's back is simply on a whole other level than these 3 guys. He even wins the lower body having the most complete look. Roelly Winklaar would be last having the weakest back and the weakest lower body as well. Once again, if conditioning was the issue for Ramy, how come Roelly finished higher looking softer than him? That proves to you that often judges judge you to your former self, not only to the competition when deciding your fate, but I digress. Shawn versus Ramy for second place. Shawn is drier. Ramy is bigger. Shawn is big enough, and Ramy is dry enough for me. So take your pick. Back lat spread is next, and Roelly makes an impressive comeback, having arguably the best back after Phil in this shot. His leg size and the lack of details through the glutes and hams are holding him down in this pose. Shawn has the weakest back by far, he would be last in my books. Phil wins this other back pose, obviously nothing to add there, so Ramy and Roelly would be fighting for second place. Ramy is more complete top to bottom for me, but I wouldn't mind giving this one to Roelly either, honestly. Thing is that Ramy seems to be top 2 in every single pose until now. Side triceps is next, and this is pretty hard to assess, having this tilted angle. Looking at the triceps themselves, Roelly and Phil have arguably the best 2 lateral heads in history, but Roelly's execution simply cannot be taken seriously. This pose is so much not only about the triceps, and that's the thing he's focusing on here. Shawn is also out of the equation despite having that great side leg. His lateral head is simply missing, flat as a pancake, as Mikey's Iron Rage would say back in the day. Also, once more, from the side, Shawn is a bit too flat. This pose is between Phil and Ramy, and the only thing against Phil Heath running away with the side triceps against anyone ever would be the midsection, which honestly looks okay in this picture. Now, if this would be video footage, maybe the transitions would expose him, but since we're judging this by pictures, Phil cannot lose this pose right here. The main thing I get from this pose is that once more Big Ramy seems to be top 2, meaning the most well-rounded bodybuilder in this lineup, at least until this point. Abs and thighs is next, and Shawn is winning and Phil is last place. That should be obvious for everybody. Now, being completely honest, Ramy's abs don't look much better than Phil's in this picture, and his execution unfortunately looks awkward. He probably looked much better, but this is what we have. Let's keep it objective. As far as Roelly, he's got the weakest legs again, and his midsection looks pretty blocky, but as far as the abdominals look, he's second after Shawn. All things considered, Shawn is a far first place, and all the other 3 are fighting for second. But in all honesty, by the way they look here, I would go with Roelly in second, Ramy in third, and Phil in last. So Ramy's top 2 streak is over here, but nothing to hurt him too much. Most muscular pose is last, and this is pretty easy to assess. Phil and Roelly look as your top 2, Shawn is definitely last, while Ramy impresses with the most muscular frame. He could be in the mix to challenge Phil and Roelly, but honestly I prefer the other 2. Ramy is impressive, but Phil and Roelly with their crabs are very tough to beat. I would actually go in first with Roelly, who looks like a wider version of Phil without a gut, despite having the weaker legs. The conclusion I have is that Shawn looked very much like the winner of the show. He was the most conditioned and a great poser. He also won 2 poses, several second places, but also 3 poses in which he was last, which shows you he had several weak points. Phil Heath won 3 poses but also 3 last places and had the gut issue. Roelly lost most poses for being the softest and having the weaker legs. He won the most muscular pose. Big Ramy won 2 poses, less than Phil, but he didn't get any last place and was battling in the top 2 for the majority of the poses, which shows you he was the most balanced bodybuilder in this list. The official result had Shawn in first, Phil in second, and Roelly in third. Based on my points, without Big Ramy for now, I got Phil beating Shawn with 20 to 21 points, while Roelly got 23. Since we all know Phil only lost this Olympia because of the gut, I believe my result confirms the official result. However, Ramy got 16 points, clearly winning this comparison against your top 3 for the Saturday finals that we judged here. So tell me in the comment section, should a bodybuilder that misses the pre-judging be able to make a comeback in the finals? Or do you need to qualify for the first call-out? So if you screw the pre-show, it's over. I have my own opinion, but I'm curious of yours. Let me know in the comments below.